Good afternoon. Hopefully you're enjoying your lunch. And I've really got a very powerful message here for you today. And not only is it for you, but it's also for me. Because I get the same challenges you get day in and day out. More and more people are asking for what? A discount. People are asking for discounts that never asked you before. Your existing customers are coming back and saying what? I know we agreed for this, but there's any way possible you could. I was with a company 2 weeks ago. They actually got a letter saying that they're asking anyone who wants to continue to do business with them to drop their prices 15%. Or else what? We'll drop you. But let me tell you something quick that happened to that. He called me up panicking. He says, Marvin, I'm going to email you something. So he emailed me the letter. So I emailed it back and I said, well, that letter doesn't apply to you. He says, what do you mean? It's got my name. I said, no, that letter doesn't apply to you. I said, I guarantee it's a what? It's a form letter that went out to all their customers. So I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to call him and schedule time to meet with him. And he said, and then do what? I said, you're going to take this letter with you and let him know that I'm sure that what? This doesn't apply to me. So he did what I said, and guess what? He didn't have to cut his prices 15%. So the point I'm making there is, a lot of times people will ask you for money off in hopes that you'll what? Give it to them. I mean, wouldn't you? If you thought you had a chance, wouldn't you? So one of the things I want to talk about here today is, and that's the main topic here, is how do you sell value and not what? Price. I guarantee you, every business represented here, you are not in a position to sell price. What you have to do, though, is sell value. And it was tough for me to come up with 7 things. I know I'm under a time constraint here. So I tried to focus on 7 specific areas that I'm going to share with you that you better have shored up, or else you're going to be discounting a lot. And at the end of the day, you're giving away your profit. You're giving away your commission if you're a sales person. Because I don't know about you, but I tell you what, I'm not going to work any less if I give something off of that particular price. I'm still going to work what? Just as hard. We had a little sidebar conversation up here before we started. We're talking about it's usually the customers that beat you up are the ones that you want to fire. Right? Not only are they ones you want to fire, they're also the ones that as soon as somebody else comes along with a lower price, what do? Bye-bye. So we really want to make sure in the onset, I tell people all the time, first and foremost, as a part of that needs assessment that you're doing, you sit down with that customer initially, you want to find out, is this the customer that's going to fit the relationship that you're looking for? Because right now, they start off with a suspect, then prospect, then maybe hopefully a customer, but then you want to convert them very quickly to a what? A relationship. This is a relationship. This is ongoing. See, relationships don't beat you up. Customers will, but relationships, long term, they shouldn't beat you up. This is something that should be something you can foster into a long-term opportunity. So here's the 7, and I actually changed one because I thought the one was even more important than the one I had down there. That's what I was doing when I was sitting over there. The first thing I want you to write down is 2 words, and I'm not going to give you a lot to write, but the first thing I want you to write down is no fear. No fear. A lot of discounts are given because you're afraid. As soon as they say what? They even look at you wrong. Matter of fact, let me back up from there. When you put the proposal together for them, because maybe you didn't talk about money for whatever reason, so you went back and had to put some pricing together for them. If you're afraid, in your mind, even though the price said in your mind, the first thing that could pop in your mind was, let's say $2,000. Just a round number, $2,000. But you couldn't write $2,000 on the paper. You struggled. You're thinking, it came up in your head, oh, this is a $2,000 opportunity. But when you got ready to write it, your pen wouldn't let you write $2,000. Okay, you start getting afraid. You start saying, oh, that's going to be what? Too much. That's too high. They'll never pay that, John. Plus, I read somewhere that it really should be under the amount that you gotta dummy it down a little bit. So then you wrote 1950. And when you looked at it, he said, that's still what? That still looks a little high. But you can't do 19 because, again, 19 is a what? A round number, so you got to do 18 something. Right? So who knows where you finish up by the time you get done because you're afraid. You're afraid of losing the business even before they tell you no. I'm telling you right now, you got to get rid of that fear. You have to ever heard the expression, you got to work like you don't need the money. Even though you do, that's how you got to come across though. I want that person to know that whether you do business with me or not, I could care less as far as, not in a mean way, not in a cocky way, but I'm not begging for business here, ma'am. I'm not begging for business here, sir. My role here today is to see if there is a need. If there is, hey, let's do business. If there isn't, I can take your no just as gracefully as I can take your yes. Have no problem. I'm a good loser. I am not a sore loser, especially when I know that you're not fitting the profile of a relationship that I'm looking for. So the first thing is no fear. Don't be afraid to put the right price on it the first time. Because in the event you do have to make an adjustment on that, it's not as big as it was if you'd start discounting even before you got in front of the customer. We'll discount the price even before you get there. Or say if they ask you, what do you think this is going to run me? You start discounting it then. And then you go back to your office to discount it more. And then you come back and they challenge you to discount it again. So you've already lost 30% off the top. You're already in the hole. Because of what? Fear. Work like you don't need money. You got to have confidence. I think there's always two things I always talk about with this fear. First of all, you got to believe that your company's the what? It is the best. It is the ultimate. You need to walk with a little swagger. I'm working for the what? The best company that provides, number two, what? The best product or service. We are the what? We are the creme de la creme. We are the what? We are the best. You got to believe that. And then you have to believe that yourself, that you're the what? Now, it's not just the company, but it's also what? You're the best person representing this product and service. Because people don't buy from the company, they buy from who? They buy from you. As a matter of fact, do you realize that 60% of your message is sent non-verbally? So therefore, when they walk in, they've already got a good idea if they can beat you up for price. It was all over your face. No, I'm serious. I'm telling you right now, I'm a student of body language. When I can tell if I can have my way with this salesperson. It starts with the handshake. It starts with the lack of eye contact. It starts with how their shoulders, instead of being square, they were what? Kind of hunched. It starts with the negative attitude they brought. I know I got a good one here. I know I can get this one. This is at least 10%. You can tell. Well, they can tell the same thing about you. So what's your behavior? What's your attitude? They can smell that fear on a salesperson, just like a shark can smell the blood in the water miles away. So go in there with what? An attitude of confidence. Don't be fearful. What's the worst thing that can happen when you present your price? The worst thing that can happen is they can say, you know what, we need to talk about that. And that's okay. Because in this day and age, you should expect that from every customer. Don't act surprised. You can't sit there and go, before we start this call, I wrote down a couple things I hope you don't bring up. First is price. Could you just not bring that up? Because I don't do good with that. You know that they're going to challenge you on your price. I don't care how good you are, people are just going to challenge. That's what they do. Some of them they're professional buyers, so they're going to ask you. Okay, and it's our job to justify the value, to justify the price. But first and foremost, no fear. That right there will prevent you from giving anything off on the price that you quoted. And by the way, please quote the right price the first time. Ever walk away going, oh man, I could have got more. But you went in there not giving the full price on that particular product or service. Give the full price. Justify the value after you've given it. Look at number 2. Here's something else that helps you, because it kind of goes with number 1. Keep your pipeline full. keep your pipeline full. Why am I saying that? If you keep your pipeline full, it's easy to what?
Train it.
Yeah. You see, if I got a full pipeline, this guy starts beating me up for price, I know I got what?
Another one.
I got another one I go after. Right, I can say, you know what, sir, it seems like that we're not going to be able to work together, but I appreciate the time. Because I know I got what? I got a lot more people that I know that will what? Benefit from what I have. But if that's the only thing I got going this month, it's just you. I have nothing else to fall back on. Hey, you just write the price in here for me. Because I got to go back to my sales manager with something. That's what happens. That's what creates that fear sometimes, because you have nothing in your pipeline, nothing going on. We could do a training just on that today about how to keep that pipeline what? Full. The place I just came from this morning, I talked about cultivating new relationships while building on existing ones. That's how you do it. That's how you keep your pipeline full. Maximizing your existing customers, but also using your existing customers to get new ones by asking them for what? Referrals. Do you know that, and this is not even in my paper, do you know that 20% of your customer base will refer you whether you ask them or not? But here's the better news. 60% of your customer base will refer you if you just what? You just ask them. Now wait, now you got to be referable. You got to be doing what you're supposed to be doing. But boy, is that good news? So keep your pipeline full with your existing customers. Build on them. Cultivate new ones from them. It's sitting right there in front of you. Okay? That way I have no problem walking away because I know I got something else that can replace you. Remember, work like you what? Don't need money. So first two, no fear. Second one, keep your pipeline full. Third one is just as important. If I ask you right now, give me 20 reasons why I should use your company. I should use your service. I should use your product. And then out of those 20, carve out your top 5 that you always want to make sure every customer knows. Could you do that? Because you said at least 20, at least 20. And then what's your top 5? Then you take those top 5 and then what's that one that you know nobody else can beat you at, that you tout all the time? My background is J.B. Robinson Jewelers. That's that company that Steve was talking about. The number one feature that Larry always wanted us to talk about, especially in the early days, because nobody else had one, was a 6-week unconditional money-back guarantee. And they always want also to make sure we didn't give the feature, but we also gave the what? The benefit. People don't buy features. They buy what that feature is going to do for them, and that's called the what? That's the benefit. That's the value that I'm referring to. What's the value that I get from being with you? What's the value I get from having your product or service? I need to know what's in it for me. So sometime when a guy would come in by himself, he's buying an engagement ring, I'd say, look, I wouldn't call it a 6-week money-back guarantee. I'd say, you know what, you got romance insurance for 6 weeks. He'd go, what? I said, you got romance insurance for 6 weeks. What that means to you is, for any reason, you give it to her, she doesn't like it, you bring it back and we'll pick out something for yourself. And he'd go, yeah. Do you know the value that each one of your features brings? Can you customize it like I just did with that 6 weeks? Money back guarantee? What's the value? People don't mind paying. They just don't want to overpay. You know what I mean? They're going to challenge you just to make sure they're not overpaying. And they'll say, is this the best price? Are you sure you can't do a little better on that for me? Because I just want to make sure. Because the last place tried to rip me off. When I said that, they said, I'll give you another 10%. So I just want to see if there's another 10% in for me. Or 15, or 20. Okay. Are you in a position to know the value that you bring? What's your top 20? And then what's your top 5? And then what's that one you always want to make sure to let that person know that stands out above all the rest? What separates you from the pack? Otherwise, why should I pay your price if there's no value that's going to come along with it? Go back and do an exercise if you don't have that. And by the way, in your brochures, in your handouts, you probably have a lot of features listed. That's great. But make sure you don't just stop at the feature. Let them know what that feature is going to do for them. Because those features mean nothing without the benefit. What's the solution that your product or service is going to provide to me, is another way to look at it. So, know those features and benefits. Number 4, know how to handle the price objection. Know how to handle the price objection. What I mean by that is, when somebody says to me, boy, your price is kind of high, I know how to handle it. I have 3 ways to respond to that. I have 3 options here. Sometime I'll pick silence. I'll look at them like they're crazy and be silent. Because I know the price I just quoted you was what? It's fair and it's firm, and I don't understand. There must be something I must have missed something. Or, my look is so curious, I'm asking you non-verbally, what do you mean? Where is that coming from? How come you feel that way? Now, see, silence gets people to talk. So if they have something else to say, they're going to clarify it right there. Because the other side of the coin is when somebody says to you, boy, you know what? That price is kind of high. How can I respond to that? Think about that. What answer do I give to that? I can't give an answer until I clarify. Silence is one way to clarify that. Because they may go on and go, your price is kind of high. And if you can shut up just for a second, they may continue to go, but you know what? What you really talked about isn't, okay, I'll go ahead and get it. They just went full circle, and you had to say what? Nothing. Now, if silence doesn't work, so don't sit there and stare him down. It's not a stare down contest. Don't call me up and go, Marvin, this didn't work. He's sitting there, I'm sitting there. If silence doesn't work, the next best thing is ask a question. And I love asking questions. Matter of fact, that's what we do. Remember, ask or listen, ask or listen. So I'm going to say to you, I'm look right in your eye and go, how come you feel my price is too high? I'm going to ask you, because I don't understand how come you feel that way? What makes you say that? All right? Then I'm waiting for what? See, whatever response he gives me, I can answer that. But I can't answer your price is kind of high. But I can answer the response you give me to that when I ask you, why do you feel that way? Because he may come back and say, it's not my budget. Does that mean my price is too high? Does not. He may come back and say, well, compared to the other 2 estimates, does that mean my price is too high? No, this means the other 2 estimates are too low. Or they're not given the same what? Value I'm given. Or he may come back and say, you know what, I just thought I'd test to see if you'd what? I mean, why is he asking me? Why is she? I got to find out. Inquiring minds want to know. I got to know. Or I'll just repeat it back and say, oh, so you feel the price is too high. And I'll pause. I'll use that repeating back or paraphrasing to get him to what? Or her to what? Clarify. I need some clarification. So, do you know how to address that price concern? It's not by reacting. It's not by assuming. It's not by immediately going to some type of discount or getting the sales manager on the phone or passing out. Beads of sweat pop on your forehead, your palms get sweaty. That's not how we should respond to that. Okay? Respond to that through clarifying what that person meant by what they just said to you. But if you don't know how to do that, you know what the first thing people do? You don't believe me? Go buy something tonight. I don't care where you go. Just say, boy, the price is kind of high. Most people do what? Let me see if we can what? I'm serious. I mean, they automatically go to figure out how to get a discount. Now, what does that tell me when you move there so quick? Yeah, you were trying to what to me? You were trying to rip me off. If I wouldn't have said anything, John, you mean you would have charged me? Now, how do you establish relationships on a foundation like that? I'm trying to rip you off the first time, Michael. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, I'll tell you, you're sharp. Yeah, you're right. It should have been. That's not the where you want to. That's not the where you want to be. You want to be able to come back and find out why they're saying what they're saying. Okay. Look at number 4. Well, that was 4, wasn't it? Look at number 5. Know 3 words. Know your options. Know your options. And here's what I mean by that. Before I even consider giving anybody off on anything, I'm always looking to see how I can help them get it at the price I quoted. Just completed a seminar last week with an option. The person said, boy, you know what, Marvin? I'd like to use you, but your price is kind of high. And again, I said, well, why do you feel the price is too high? Well, it's really more than I'm prepared to spend. We're a small business, and I just can't invest that kind of money right now. And I said, well, I can appreciate that. I said, do you know another company that you would feel comfortable partnering with you that may be in need of training too, that could share the what? And she said, that's a great idea. I do know somebody. You know what? Let me give him a call. Yeah, hold up. And she called him. She called me back and said, I do have somebody, and we did the seminar. She's happy. The other company's happy. I'm happy because I didn't have to what? And I take anything off the price. What are your options? What options do you come up with to help them still get your product or service at the same price? Is it terms? Is it put some on a credit card? Is it trade? I've done some of that. When I first started, I did a 60-40 trade because they look, I needed some office furniture. I'll be honest with you. And it just so happened I was doing work with a company that sold what? Office furniture. And they said to me, boy, this price is kind of high. I was glad they said it. I said, I got an idea. I need furniture. You need training. So it was 40% trade, 60% cash. I always get you still need money. Still got to get some money. Bill still got, I can't go pay my mortgage with trade. They want money. Okay? But think about and by the way, these are options you don't want to come up with on the spot. You already want to have these. You got them in writing somewhere. So when new people come on, they have those options too. Okay? I had an option. I learned so much at J. Brahms Jewelers. One thing I learned at J. Brahms Jewelers, I learned this option. Person comes in, price is too high, isolate it, find out they want it but can't afford it right now. How'd you plan on paying for it? Was going to put it on a credit card. Next question out of my mouth is, have you ever had the limit on your credit card raised? Answer is usually what? No, didn't know I could do that. Why don't you follow me? Let's go in the back and see if we can get your credit card limit raised. And they go, oh, Marvin. And what do they say to me? Thank you. Thank you. I'm the hero. Because I helped them get it. Because they didn't want anything off. They're just saying what? I can't afford it. I don't have, can you help me? I want to use you, but can you help me? Are you helping your customer get it? If somebody said right now, what options and alternatives do you have for me to get your product or service at that price without you taking any money off, what would you share with me? What are your 2 or 3 that you can just rattle off right away? If you can't, you better go back and work on it. Because those options are needed by some of your customers that can't afford for whatever reason at this point in time. Okay? So have the options. Have the options. Number 6. Write this one down. Know what justifies an adjustment. Know what justifies an adjustment. I did not say discount. I said an adjustment. I don't want anybody discounting anymore. But there are certain situations that may qualify that potential relationship for what? An adjustment. I just did an adjustment because I shared with this company in Mercer, Pennsylvania. I said, look, if you let me do your orientation training 4 times a year for at least 2 years, if we have that agreement, I'll what? Make an adjustment. So that justifies, see, that's really not, I'm making an adjustment. But see, adjustment means it's a what? It's a win-win. I'm winning, you're winning. See, a discount means you overpriced me in the first place. But if I make an adjustment, I got to give you a reason for taking something off. And the reason now is we have a what? A long-term agreement. We got an agreement here. So anything that has to do with an agreement or a contract or long-term, I'd give you something off for that, knowing that for 2 years I got that business 4 times a year. I can count on that like clockwork. Who would not give an adjustment? I know some companies will give an adjustment if you pay up cash up front. If in other words, you don't do any terms, you just plop money down. Yeah, I'll give you an adjustment. What justifies an adjustment in your company? Some companies will give an adjustment for new customers to try it for the first time, but they let that customer know it's a one-time what? So we get an opportunity to try it before you actually get too much into it. So what justifies an adjustment? How do you make me feel that you didn't price this too high in the first place? It's got to be a win-win. So do you have those at your fingertips? As a matter of fact, you should almost go, well, let me see if you qualify for an adjustment. Oh, yeah, you qualify for the volume adjustment. If you add another couple onto this, you can get an additional, right? You got to talk about things that people are comfortable with as far as adjustments. But if you just arbitrarily just hand out discounts, you know what you're doing? You're justifying what they think about salespeople anyhow. I mean, come on. What do they think about sales? If I mention the word salespeople, what comes to your mind? I mean, you're not thinking, oh, honorable, trustworthy, friend. I mean, that's not what you're thinking. That's why nobody in this room, if I ask you for a business card and looked at it, nobody's business card has what? Salesperson on it. We disguise it. Look at your business card. It'll say account exec, customer service, marketing. Nothing happens until somebody sells something. Somebody told me that a long time ago. It all starts with a sale, but we've got to do it the professional way. And everybody says, what's your goal? My goal in life is to change the image that customers have of us. We don't have a good image. And you only have a few minutes to do that. And whether they buy from me or not, I want them to know that I'm not that suede shoe, pushy salesperson that's only looking for what? Another notch on my belt, another feather in my cap, another commission that I can go spend. I'm looking for what? A long-term relationship. Is that you? Is that what you say? Matter of fact, do you use the word relationship? Do you use the word partnership when you're talking to that new opportunity or an existing opportunity? Is that the language that you're using to let them know right from the beginning that there's something different about you? Because the last person said customer. They said cost. See, you said investment. They said spend. You said investment. They said cost. Even on your proposal, you didn't say proposal, you wrote solution. See, one word makes a what? Huge difference. Huge difference in the eyes of the person that's looking at that or that's reading it. The perception is what they're looking at. True or not, believe it or not believe it, our perception is just not good. And we can change that perception with one word. Can change it. Adjustment rather than discount. So what justifies an adjustment? How do you make people feel comfortable after you've quoted a price and then ended up maybe taking something off? Don't just arbitrarily take it off just to take it off, okay? That's not what we do. What you do is, it's got to be justifiable. And if you have no fear, when it gets down to that point, you're good. Now, what's number 7? Number 7 is easy. You know why? Because a guy told me a long time ago, even before I got into this business, way back when, I grew up in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, my track coach said, the way you practice is the way you play. Okay? And we did what? We practiced, and we practiced, and we practiced. And that's what I want you to write, number 7. Practice, practice, practice. You need to practice how you're going to overcome this price resistance that they're going to give it to you. And not only is it going to come under price, it's going to come under postponement, it's going to come under competition, it's going to come under your product. I mean, it may be changed because they already have somebody, you're trying to introduce yourself to them, and they're maybe unwilling to make a change. If you know whatever resistance that you're getting over and over again, you need to prepare and practice how you're going to what? Overcome it, get beyond it. It's not going to come naturally. See, it's either one or two things are going to happen. Either you practice on your customer and you lose, or you practice with your peers and you're prepared. I don't know about you, but I'd rather be what? Prepared. Because I know the next person I call on is probably going to say to me, man, Marvin, I love what you're talking about, but what? Your price is kind of high. I'm prepared. Are you prepared? I have that no fear. Look, and sometimes I don't walk away much, but I've walked away going, ooh, I could just use that little bit. Just that little bit I could use, right? But there's a point in time where sometime working for a little bit, you usually don't get even that little bit, because then they come back and they what? They beat you up for more and more and more. And you wind up going backwards, and you didn't make any money on that particular situation. Okay? So look down these 7. How much preparation and practice have you done in no fear, keeping your pipeline full, knowing those features and benefits, the value. Do you have your 20 down to your top 5 and even that one that really stands out? Do you know how to handle that price resistance, either by asking a question, repeating it back, paraphrasing? And by doing that, you're isolating what the real reason is. And by the way, that works everywhere. I never, when my kids were growing up, if any one of them came to me and said, Dad, I don't feel good, I did not just throw them in the car and run them to the emergency. I did one of those 3 things. Either ask a question and said, what? Well, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's the matter? Or I repeated back and said, oh, you don't feel good. Or it was the middle of the night, I didn't say anything. I'm just silent. Right? We use those 3 things all the time. You didn't panic. Don't panic when the customer challenges you on price. Okay? What justifies an adjustment? Okay? What options can you provide? And then how much practicing are you doing in advance before you go on that call? Especially if you know you're going to be delivering a proposal. You're delivering that solution to that customer. You know that they may hit you with postponement or price or competition or change. Why not be prepared? Do a dry run. One person's the customer, the other person's the person presenting it, and then go through it. Do a mock. That when you get there, at least you have the what? You got the answer. Have the answer. That's all we're talking about, is have the answer. Preparation and practice for peak performance. Preparation and practice for peak performance. Okay? Makes sense? That's my message today. That's it, 7 points. And normally I stay and hang around and hang out and have iced tea with you, but I've got to be downtown by about 1:30. So please forgive me. But what I have in front of you there is my email address and my phone number. I started a sales tip at the beginning of this year. If you want to get my sales tip, just go on marvinmontgomery.com. You can register there and you'll get a sales tip every week from me. Okay? But I want to thank Steve for thinking about me and giving me an opportunity to come back in front of this group. And I want everybody just to make it. I never say have a great year. I always say make it a great year, because we have that ability to do that. You get what you expect. So let's expect this to be a great year. Okay? Make sense? Thanks so much.